The Enforcement Directorate has responded to the Supreme Court's query on whether Aam Aadmi Party can be made an accused or not. To that, the Enforcement Directorate has told the Supreme Court that anyone who is guilty will not be spared, something that Arunima was just talking about. ED has made these comments during the bail plea hearing of Manish Sisodia. Whether these two cases are going to coincide will have a bearing on Manish Sisodia, will have a detrimental impact on that bail plea that is before the court, remains the big question. To offer more perspective on that very big question is my colleague and legal correspondent Ananya Bhatnagar, who is joining us on the broadcast. Ananya, considering this direction to go in this way, to make Aam Aadmi Party, the entire party, as an accused in this particular case, as a beneficiary to the proceeds of the crime, has eventually come, that knowledge has come to the ED through that query by the Supreme Court itself. That becomes a big development in this case. Ananya, are you there? Don't think we have Ananya at the moment. We'll try and re-establish that connection. But remember, it was a query by the Supreme Court where they had asked why not make Aam Aadmi Party as a beneficiary and try them as accused, as they were part of in fact being the beneficiary to the proceeds of the crime. And that was the question that the Supreme Court had asked the ED. Now the ED, I believe, is seeking legal opinion, and they have also responded to that query, and they have told the Supreme Court that anyone who is guilty will not be spared, whether it's the party as a whole or leaders in particular that they are currently questioning and the already arrested one. Remember, the ED has made these comments during the bail plea hearing of Manish Sisodia, and that is going to be impacting the hearing for sure. And that's the latest that we are picking up. If we take a look at how this is going to spell further trouble for the Aam Aadmi Party, and the future of the Aam Aadmi Party will remain the big question. My colleague Ananya is back with us on the broadcast. Ananya, I was asking you earlier, considering this was the very query by Supreme Court, and that has given a leeway to the Enforcement Directorate to move in this direction. Now they are responding to that query. What do you think is going to happen next?
Well, definitely, the Enforcement Directorate was asked this question by the topmost court of the country. This was the bench of Justice Sanjay Sing and Justice S.V. Bhati, which had posed this question that whether Aam Aadmi Party would be made an accused in this case or not, whether they would be made because since they are a beneficiary, is what the Enforcement Directorate is saying. And this is a statement that the Enforcement Directorate has been making from a long while. But, many people, various media channels reported that Aam Aadmi Party will be made an accused in this case, and the Enforcement Directorate will be informing top of the country. But very, very clearly, the Additional Solicitor General, Mr. S.V. Raju, has clearly told the court that, there is no clarification as to whether or not Aam Aadmi Party would be made an accused, but anyone who's guilty will not be spared. Whether it's Aam Aadmi Party, whether it's somebody else, they will not be spared. And in fact, this is what, our sources had also told us, that the Enforcement Directorate is mulling over this question, but they have no intention, or they're not proceeding into this direction until and unless there is some evidence, or if at all there is evidence with the Enforcement Directorate with regards to that, then only they will be taking any kind of such a stance. However, the Supreme Court has been very, very categorically informed that anybody and everybody who is guilty, who is evidence is available against them, they will be made an accused. They will not be spared by the Enforcement Directorate. And exactly that we are seeing when Sanjay Sing, who was not an accused until now, just the names that were cropping up in the charge sheet, has now been made an accused, has been arrested by the Enforcement Directorate. He will now be produced before Delhi's Rouse Avenue Court in a short while from now. What we are hearing is almost around 2 p.m. He will be produced before Special CBI Judge M.K. Nagpal. And then we'll see as to what charges have been leveled by the Enforcement Directorate against Sanjay Singh in this particular case.
Right, Ananya, thank you so much for all of those latest inputs that are coming out of the Apex Court. Remember, the bail plea hearing of Manish Sisodia is also currently underway before the Apex Court.